With climate change, 10 years ago you didn't hear much about diseases like dengue. Now we're seeing local transmission in southern Europe, in the southern US, and the range of these diseases is expanding.
It's the world's deadliest animal. The diseases they transmit kill up to 1 million people globally each year. People living in temperate or warmer climates are no stranger to the menace of the mosquito bite. But this is Aedes albopictus, a mosquito nicknamed the tiger due to its distinctive striped body. Until recently, it was predominantly found in tropical areas. But now, with climate change bringing warmer temperatures, its ecological range is extending, and it can now be found in Europe. Frédéric Simard is a renowned mosquito expert working in the south of France. Hi, Frédéric, nice to meet you.
Hi, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you so much. Why are we here?
Because I want to show you where the tiger mosquito breeds. Let's go in.
Frédéric and his colleague Céline Souter have promised to help me track down this invasive species in what appears to be a most unlikely location. So your colleague is testing for them here in the cemetery?
Yeah. These
Hi.
are the baby mosquitoes.
How do you know you found them here?
Look at that.
Oh, that's a baby mosquito wriggling around in your hand. Okay.
And you have a lot of them there.
There are more?
Yeah, sure.
Ah, yes, there are a lot more wriggling baby mosquito here in the water. So is this the sort of place they particularly like?
Absolutely, that's their preferred breeding sites. What we call breeding site is where the larvae of the mosquito develops. We are very early in the season. The populations of tiger mosquitoes are just growing up.
So this little pot of standing water is a mosquito's idea of heaven.
Yeah.
You mentioned the tiger mosquito. What makes that particular type of mosquito of such concern?
Well, it's a worry for Europe because it's the only mosquito that is able to transmit viruses such as dengue, chikungunya, zika, and even yellow fever. The female gets infected by biting someone who has the virus in his blood, then it can transfer the virus to another person. Before the Asian tiger mosquito was there was no threat for this kind of disease transmission in Europe. Now it's here and it's growing.
Why is this happening here in France?
Climate change will improve habitat suitability. Some places that were not suitable to the mosquitoes will turn out to be suitable.
Oh, I feel kind of itchy just looking at them, so let's carry on walking. Thank you, Céline.
Sure, let's go.
Across the world, there are over 3,500 species of mosquito. Most are harmless, but some, as we know, are capable of spreading dreadful diseases like malaria. The tiger mosquito and its fellow partner in crime, the Aedes aegypti, have developed a reputation for spreading a different disease, dengue. Once confined to tropical areas, the tiger mosquito is now on the increase in European countries like France. What makes this the ideal location for the mosquito?
Well, this mosquito is really urban. It needs some concrete to develop, it needs some vegetation, some shade, some water, and you have everything here in the cemetery, in the center of the city. So that's where he likes to breed. You always have a little bit of water somewhere, you have people visiting, so the female can bite, and then when they have bitten someone, they will digest the blood and lay their eggs in some water. He won't breed, in streams or all this surface water. What he would like is really little containers of water somewhere. You just have to look and you'll see them.
Oh, you have already found some.
So you have larvae of the tiger mosquito and also even a pupa. So this is the very latest aquatic stage of the mosquito. Tomorrow, this will be a flying adult.
In just a day's time, this will be a flying mosquito capable of transmitting dengue fever to you or I.
Absolutely. If it's a female, yes, it will be able to bite us, and if it gets infected, it will transmit dengue to you, I, and everybody that she will bite.
How many people could potentially be infected by that one insect?
A lot of people can be bitten by a single female mosquito. It's a day-biting mosquito, the tiger mosquito. So if it can't feed at the repellent by biting you, it will bite you, me, and then other people in a single cycle. So it can bite a lot of people and transmit the disease to a lot of people.
Why do you collect them in a tray like this?
Well, we collect them to compare with the samples we have in the lab. For example, we will look at their genetics to be able to identify where these mosquitoes come from, what are the source populations that invaded France, to also be able to document their evolution, their adaptation to our environment from generation to generation. Their genetic material is changing. We can have emergence of insecticide resistance, for example, so we have different markers that we can track down those populations and check how they behave, how they adapt, and what is the exact risk that we have to manage with this mosquito here.
Originally from southeastern Asia, Aedes albopictus, a relatively small species of mosquito, used to live in forests before spreading to urban areas where it learnt to thrive. As global trade and travel increased, so too did the geographic range of the tiger mosquito. And as temperatures rose, it began to thrive in Europe. 10 years ago, it inhabited just 8 European countries. Now, it's in 13. And it continues to spread. In the last year, the tiger mosquito has reached as far north as Sweden. For France this year, it presents an even more serious issue. The Olympic Games brings increased numbers of visitors from countries where dengue is endemic, all during the summer months, where mosquito activity, as elsewhere, is high.
We'll go downstairs.
Experts like Frédéric are researching the insect to better understand the species and the risk it presents.
I'm already seeing more flying here than we were seeing before.
Yes, so we've seen where it breeds, and this is typically where the mosquito rests. See, this kind of bush, it likes to rest in the vegetation, but to see a very small, tiny, black and white mosquito in this bush is quite hard. So we need tools to sample in the bushes.
Would you do it here or in other spots?
Yeah, maybe it's too sunny area, so we may move to the shade a little bit and try it. Maybe this way would be better. And for that, we will need these to collect them. It's an aspirator. You will get all the mosquitoes stuck in this little box. So let's give it a try.
Okay. Have you found any?
It's a chironomid, it's not a mosquito.
It's quite a rudimentary way of finding the mosquito.
Yes, indeed. There's no high-tech tools that have been developed for that.
So this is the only way that you're going to be able to find the mosquitoes?
Indeed. Céline has one.
She's found one?
Let's see what she got.
Let's have a look.
They're flying around.
Oh, tiny. They seem to be attracted to the bags that we've left on the floor.
Bags, yeah. There are 2 of them there.
How will you collect them from here?
Yes.
I see what you mean about them being so small that you're not going to see that flying about. Can you tell if that's male or female?
Male.
Male.
It's male. So you know this one can't bite you, so it doesn't matter that you've got your finger there.
But the females do.
Here is another type of mosquitoes.
Oh yeah,
Much
this
bigger.
one is not a tiger, but it is another one.
Much, much bigger.
The increasing presence of tiger mosquitoes is concerning to an entomologist like Frédéric, who started off studying malaria.
What role has climate change played in enabling the tiger mosquito to thrive here in France?
We have created this new risk by bringing in mosquitoes that may transmit diseases and the virus that they are transmitting. But climate change has a role in shaping the global environment, rendering it more suitable to the mosquitoes. When it's warmer, mosquitoes develop faster, the virus also develops faster in the mosquito, and the whole dynamic of disease transmission is much faster.
Is it inevitable that the tiger mosquito will not just live but thrive all over Europe in the near future?
As for now, we don't have a solution to put in front of this biological invasion. We just can monitor it, we can't stop it so far. So pilot trials for different methods are becoming a reality, but so far we can just witness this invasion and we can't stop it. We will need to adapt, we will need to be more innovative in the tools that we are using, in the way that we want to control this mosquito. We need to manage the risk. It's useless to think that we can eliminate the mosquito once it's there. We will need to change our behavior, our way of thinking about this mosquito, the way we manage our backyards, for example, to prevent it to become prone to mosquitoes. People don't want insecticide anymore. They want something sustainable, respectful of the environment. And there's a shift in the fight against mosquito now. We will use mosquito to help us control mosquitoes. So that's clearly a new idea where mosquitoes will help us getting rid of mosquitoes.
With Aedes albopictus firmly established in France and spreading across Europe, the risk of dengue and other diseases is intensifying. But for many countries across the world, it's no longer a risk, but a reality. The diseases that Aedes mosquitoes transmit, like dengue, are devastating communities. Nicknamed break-bone fever because its victims often have contortions caused by intense joint and muscle pain. It's a debilitating flu-like illness that without proper medical attention can be deadly. Across the world, the incidence of dengue has grown dramatically, with around half the world's population now at risk. But where most anti-dengue initiatives focus on traditional methods like vaccines or the use of insecticides, one organisation is pioneering an intervention that uses the mosquito itself to stop the disease.
Hello, Scott, I'm Reya.
Lovely to meet you.
Thank you
Welcome
for
to
having
our
me.
office.
Scott O'Neill is the CEO of the World Mosquito Program, an NGO funded by the Gates Foundation. They're working on a unique intervention using a bacteria called Wolbachia.
What is Wolbachia?
Wolbachia is this very interesting bacteria that lives inside insects, and it's interesting for a number of different reasons. One is that it can spread itself into populations of insects really effectively, not by being infectious, but by being inherited from mother to children through the mosquito's children, if you like. And the other reason it's really interesting is that when an insect or mosquito in particular has Wolbachia in its body, certain viruses can't replicate. And if they can't grow or replicate in the mosquito's body, then they can't be transmitted between people. And so we're talking viruses like dengue, zika, chikungunya, yellow fever.
And is that what we're looking at here?
Yeah, exactly. This is an image of Wolbachia here. So taken through a microscope, you can see in a mosquito's ovaries, and it has to be in the ovaries to be transmitted through the eggs from generation to generation.
And that's what we can see at the bottom here.
Yeah, each of these pieces is a cell from the ovary, and the blue is the nuclei of the cell, and then all of the reds surrounding that are the Wolbachia. And that's what prevents the viruses from growing and being transmitted. But it doesn't make the mosquito sick. They don't make people sick, the Wolbachia. They're really common naturally in the environment and living in many different insects.
And it's this that you're tapping into with the Wolbachia Method. What is that?
So when we discovered that if we put Wolbachia into the mosquito that transmits these viruses to people, and that they could no longer transmit the viruses, so then we took it one step further to think about how we could turn it into a method to prevent disease. And for that, we grow mosquitoes that contain Wolbachia, and we release them into the environment. They mate with wild mosquitoes and pass the Wolbachia into the mosquito population until it spreads naturally into all the mosquitoes in that given city or location. And at that point, people don't get sick anymore because viruses can't be transmitted to people.
Wolbachia occurs naturally in around 50% of all insects. But when mosquitoes are given the bacteria, another important but minor change occurs. When a male mosquito with Wolbachia mates with an uninfected female, those eggs won't hatch. And if a female mosquito is carrying Wolbachia, even if the male she mates with is not infected, all offspring will also carry Wolbachia, which once again means they can't spread the dengue virus. After just a few generations, nearly all the mosquito population will carry Wolbachia, rendering them resistant not just to dengue, but also yellow fever, zika, and chikungunya.
Because of what we're seeing with climate change and the expansion of the mosquito, just look at the disease patterns. 10 years ago you didn't hear much about diseases like dengue. Now we're seeing local transmission nearly every summer in southern Europe. We're seeing it in the southern US, and so the range of these diseases is expanding, and that's because the mosquito is expanding, and because current methods for control don't work.
When you think of mosquitoes and the deadly infections they can pass on to us humans, the question would be, why not just eradicate them altogether?
Ever since we've known that mosquitoes can transmit viruses, the immediate response is, well, let's kill the little suckers. But the problem is that we've never been able to kill them effectively at scale in a sustainable way. We've tried with many different techniques over the years, but they keep coming back. So then the work we're doing, we're not trying to kill the mosquito, we're just wanting to make them harmless to people.
The World Mosquito Program now operates in 14 countries, and it's estimated the mosquito releases they've made so far have protected over 11 million people. But there's more to do, as Aedes mosquitoes grow increasingly resistant to insecticides. With dengue now a chronic threat, the World Mosquito Program has teamed up with the Brazilian government to upscale production of Wolbachia-infected mosquitoes. What sparked your interest in this work?
I've always wanted to do something with my career that had meaning or application. I wasn't interested in doing science for curiosity. I really wanted to think about something that could be useful. And when I was at university, I got introduced to mosquitoes and tropical diseases and such huge problems and so few people working on them. And so I got drawn into that. And in the case of a disease like dengue, you have really no way to protect yourself from the mosquito bite. So that instills a lot of fear in people. And the disease itself, there's no real effective treatment for. People can't work, people are sick for long periods of time. In extreme cases, people are dying from it. So the last few years, we're seeing increasing transmission in Spain, in Italy, in southern Europe, and we're seeing the same in the US. These sort of problems which were once restricted to the tropics are now coming to a city near you, wherever you live.
We've seen these huge outbreaks, most recently in places like Brazil, Peru. Tell me about the work that you're doing there.
This year in particular, we're seeing throughout Southeast Asia and through Latin America just huge years for dengue transmission. Brazil, is having a terrible year. And it was very interesting, we've been working around Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and Rio is this, amazing city built around this amazing harbour. On one side of the harbour you see Rio de Janeiro, and then it just continues into a neighbouring city called Niterói. So we deployed our method into Niterói almost fully and not much into this actual municipality of Rio de Janeiro. At the end of February this year, Rio de Janeiro had reported 17,000 cases of dengue. Niterói, where we're deployed, had recorded 69 cases. And so, it's real-world evidence of the impact we're having in being able to reduce disease.
Brazil has in fact seen the largest number of dengue cases ever, with over 1.5 million so far and more to come. Dr. Luciano Moreira is one of the World Mosquito Program scientists and was one of the first to make the discovery about Wolbachia. Dr. Moreira, thank you for talking to me. You're based in Brazil. What is the situation there right now?
In Brazil, the situation is getting better now. We had the record number of cases in history in Brazil. Dengue has been around for more than 40 years, but this year was the worst case that we ever had. More than 6 million cases happening in Brazil.
Why is the dengue situation in Brazil so bad, and what are the conditions that have enabled the disease to spread so widely there?
In Brazil, we have all the conditions that are good for mosquitoes and therefore for dengue, like high humidity and temperature. We had lots of rain, and also because of, I guess, global warming, climate change. The situation is going to the south of Brazil, which was supposed to be cooler. So mosquitoes they were not there before, but now mostly every single city in the south of region of Brazil, they have the mosquitoes, and dengue is being spread all over those cities too, which is very bad. We still have lots of problems with this in the country.
So why are current prevention methods not working? I'm thinking of insecticide, for example.
In Brazil, the insecticide resistance is distributed all over the country. In some places, it's more than an issue. In others, not so much. But the problem is the government has to change the compounds every other year and to alternate to reduce this risk of insecticide resistance happening in the country. And for me, I think it's very important that insecticides are used in a rational way, because it can kill insects like bees, so it's not good. We also have the vaccines in Brazil, but the problem, Brazil is very big, more than 200 million people, and it's not easy to get vaccines dose for everyone. Therefore, I really think we need to think about a more integrated method of control of dengue. And also, vaccines are only available for dengue, and Wolbachia Method is good for dengue, zika, and chikungunya as well.
So there's clearly a huge need for your mosquitoes. Tell me about your plans. You're planning on opening a large mosquito breeding factory.
We have a huge demand for mosquitoes with Wolbachia in Brazil. At the moment, we produce at Fiocruz in Rio de Janeiro around 10 to 15 million eggs per week. We need to produce as many, at least 10 times as this amount. At the moment, we're starting the construction of a huge facility in the south of Brazil that will be able to produce 100 million eggs of mosquitoes with Wolbachia per week. So 5 billion eggs per year. And our estimate is that we can, within 10 years, we will be able to protect as many as 100 million people in Brazil, which is very, very good. So it's very important that people continue to do their work to reduce mosquito breeding sites. But I really believe that we have to work as a group, different methodologies, integrated methods to really to reduce all the dengue problem in the country and other countries as well.
What are the chances that this method will see an end to this huge problem?
Well, I think that the method has shown and proven itself to be quite effective, but the problem is enormous. You know, half the world's population at risk of getting the disease in any one year. You realize that, no single method is probably going to be able to quickly solve that problem.
It's an innovative solution with the potential to prevent future epidemics across Brazil, not just of dengue, but Zika, chikungunya and yellow fever. And whilst the numbers compared to countries like Brazil are still small in Europe, experts believe dengue is a very real threat to an increasing number of countries around the world, including those in Europe.
It probably will never be as bad as it occurs in the tropics because of winter. And the dynamic of winter in Europe will slow transmission down. but it's certainly going to get a lot worse than it is now, and there's a great need for concern. And we need solutions. We probably need the solutions for the developing world in the tropics more urgently, but it's coming to a town near you really soon.